Hello everyone, this is Gokul as Krishnan. I'm a postdoctoral fellow under Professor Balaraman Ravindran, here to give a short presentation on understanding difference of standards towards responsible AI in Indian scenario. So first of all, what is responsible AI? It is intended to be a governance framework that focuses on certain AI implementation practices to make people's lives better, focusing dedicatedly on fairness, bias, privacy aspects, interpretability aspect, and the security aspect. And we are now adding some additional factors to it, like how it is deployed, whether it is being monitored and managed properly to protect these aspects. So now, as AI is being increasingly adopted in various sectors as real-world solutions, the think tank of India, Niti Aayog, has called for several strategies in terms of responsible deployment, monitoring, and management of AI models. And they also recommend 7 principles based on the fundamental rights. These details can be checked in their paper. Several concerns on AI, such as unfairness, bias, and ethical security concerns, all these have led to several studies, research studies, and frameworks being developed in the Western countries to understand these aspects. But the Indian scenario lacks such studies, and it is very important that we come up with dedicated frameworks for our country because we have very different notions of standards, and our interpretations are quite different from the Western scenario. So we look at the key aspects of responsible AI. So the first one is equitable access. We know that a large chunk of the Indian population still do not have access to the internet or content creating applications. So this largely affects the decision making and predictions that are being generated. And also more focus is given to where data is available and where revenue is available. So creating inequities among people who benefit from AI solutions and people who do not. Then the errors in data recording, missing data due to certain practices, all these aspects have to be considered. Then the demographic differences, things like names, languages, all these are very diverse in India and means a lot of things. So this is very different from the Western scenario. These aspects have to be considered specifically. Then the transparency and explainability factors also have to be considered. So we need to provide explanation on why a certain prediction is made, which improves the trust towards that particular application. So similarly, transparency should be present with respect to data collection, whether your data is being shared and so on. These aspects have to be taken care of. Then the accountability aspect as to who is accountable for decisions of AI model and how costly are incorrect decisions in a certain sector. All these aspects also have to be taken care of. So we have certain recommendations toward moving towards responsible AI. Some of them are: we need effective mechanisms to include the representative data from the excluded groups. Then there should be proper feedback mechanisms in place to inform whether someone is being the AI predictions are affecting someone. Then we have to ensure transparency and explainability in all aspects. Then perform tests and analysis to identify data underrepresentation and unfair prediction. Then the makers of AI models need to interact with the communities out there to understand how they could be affected by AI models. Then the data collection and sharing has to be ethical and responsible. Finally, there should be a system to place or to question the AI models and cross question and check whether these models are affecting anyone. And so this could include personnel from a wide variety of sectors. We also need very dedicated technical, interdisciplinary, domain-specific research teams to develop and deploy AI models in a responsible fashion, and also to understand and decide the accountability and penalty aspects of AI systems. These are the references, and thank you. You can mail your queries to this email ID.